I'll tell this the way investigators speak in documentaries, steady voice, no visible shaking, because if I let myself tell it the way it felt, I might never finish. The footage would open on a driveway. Me in the passenger seat, one hand pressed against my stomach, timing contractions on my phone, him leaning against the hood, laughing with his father about bait and tides. They're still far apart. He said when I told him they were 5 minutes now. You can handle the hospital check-in on your own. It's not like the baby's falling out. His father chuckled. I remember that detail because later, when everything shifted, that laugh became important. I asked him very calmly to drive me. He said the lake reservation had been booked for weeks. I remember thinking, don't be dramatic. Women do this every day. Be reasonable. So I nodded. He helped me into the car, set my hospital bag in the back seat, kissed my forehead like he was heading to the office, not a fishing trip. Then they drove off in his father's truck, rods rattling in the bed. The contractions were no longer 5 minutes apart. They were 4. The first sharp one made me gasp alone in that car. I called him. You're okay, he said lightly over engine noise. You've got this. Text me when you're admitted. That was the moment something small and permanent shifted inside me. Not anger, not yet. Clarity. I hung up and called my neighbor instead. Mrs. Alvarez answered on the second ring. She didn't ask whether I was exaggerating. She said, I'm coming. By the time she helped me into her car, I was shaking. Not from fear, from the realization that I had stopped expecting him to show up. At the hospital entrance, a nurse saw me clutching the door frame and rushed forward with a wheelchair. The fluorescent lights felt too bright. The questions came fast. Where's your support person? On the way. I heard myself say, but when they handed me the admission clipboard and pointed to the line that read emergency contact, I stared at it. My pen hovered. I left it blank. That was the first official record of his absence. Labor does not pause for emotional processing. It moves like weather. The pain intensified. Nurses spoke in measured tones. A doctor introduced himself. Machines beeped steadily. I focused on breathing the way the prenatal class had taught us, the class he attended once and complained about after. He called once more. I let it ring. Our daughter was born 3 minutes later, red-faced. Furious. Perfect. When they placed her on my chest, something rearranged itself in my priorities with surgical precision. The room was full of professionals who had shown up, strangers who had done their jobs. 2 hours after delivery, my phone buzzed again. This time I answered. He was crying, not the loud, theatrical kind, the stunned kind. I messed up, he kept saying. Dad said, I didn't know it was that serious. I'm at the hospital. I pictured him in the lobby, still smelling like lake water and gasoline. I didn't raise my voice. I've already updated my visitor list, I said. Only approved names can come into maternity recovery. Silence. I'm her father. I know. I had spoken to the charge nurse earlier, not vindictively. Just clearly, I told her I needed rest and limited visitors. She nodded in a way that suggested she had seen this before. Hospital policy was explained. Security was notified. No dramatics. Just procedure. A few minutes later, my phone rang again. They won't let me pass the desk, he said. I could hear the echo of the lobby behind him. Can you tell them it's okay? Through the partially open door, I saw a uniformed security officer standing at the end of the hallway. Calm, unmovable. Authority doesn't shout, it simply stands there. I looked down at my daughter, sleeping against my skin. I'm tired, I said. I need to recover. You're punishing me. No, I replied, and I meant it. I'm recovering. There's a difference. He stayed in the lobby for an hour. His father with him. I later learned no one made a scene. No one escorted him out. They just didn't let him in. That's the thing about neglect. It doesn't explode. It accumulates. And then one day it recalculates access. The next morning, while my daughter slept in a plastic hospital bassinet beside me, I asked for the paperwork packet the social worker had mentioned, the one about custodial documentation and discharge planning, not because I had everything figured out, but because I understood something irreversible. When someone leaves you alone in the car while you're having their child, they are telling you where you stand. And when you survive it without them, you learn you don't need their permission to change the structure of your life. He met his daughter 2 days later in a supervised visiting room. No shouting, no revenge, just fluorescent lights, clipboard, and a nurse documenting time in and time out. He cried again. I didn't. I was busy holding what stayed.